Close to home, many families that are moving to Greater West Bloomfield are looking to start a family as they come to our community. It's one of the many reasons they move to Greater West Bloomfield is because it's a great place to have a family and raise a family. But there's a lot of planning and logistics that goes into starting a family altogether. And now the Jewish Fertility Foundation is here to help. Joining me with more information is Taylor Weintraub, the regional manager of Jewish Family Foundation. Taylor, thank you for joining us today. Happy to have you on as you are going to be joining Temple Israel for this event coming up very soon here in later November. The name of the event is Pathways to Parenthood. Take us through that because that kind of does encapsulate a little bit of everything that's going on here, exploring different ways that people can move towards starting a family, but being prepared for it.
Yeah, so the Jewish Fertility Foundation, our mission is to help families that are on a family building journey. We give grants, emotional support, mental support to those going through infertility and beyond. And so one of the big things that we do is just because we're giving grants for fertility journeys, that's not always the path for everybody. So we always want to educate and give people the opportunity to see what else is out there. They don't have to just hit a wall on a fertility journey. There are other options and other opportunities. And another mission of ours is to always educate people on these different paths and these different journeys. So one of the events that we have created at JFF is Pathways to Parenthood to help educate those going through these family building journeys and their loved ones.
And so as parents or potential parents are considering starting a family, a lot of the challenges that they're addressing beforehand are typically the logistical challenges. And there are some pretty common ones and some that maybe aren't so commonly considered before a person or a group begins to start their family. But there's also those emotional challenges also. What are some of the common emotional and logistical challenges that your organization helps families consider before they get started with this process?
Sure. So I think one of the big things that people always think about is fertility treatments and how much it can do to your body and how it's emotional, but it's also very expensive. So the financial aspect really puts a strain on people, not just financially, but emotionally in that sense. There's a lot of logistics, period, that goes into each journey of building a family, whether that be legal aspects, financial aspects, the medical aspects. There's a lot of testing that has to be done, whether you are going through it yourself or you are using a surrogate or you are using a donor, adoption, all of these things. There are home visits and tests, and a lot of the logistical stuff can also lead to the emotional turmoil that can come with it. And so with JFF, our goal is to provide not only the education and, of course, what we can do financially, but also the emotional support.
And so the speakers on this panel that will be taking place Thursday, November 20th, 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. at Temple Israel right here in West Bloomfield. It's going to include experts from the Jewish Fertility Foundation of Detroit, as well as Rabbi Jennifer Kaluzny from Temple Israel and Carrie Provisor, who is a licensed social worker as well, kind of encapsulating a few different elements of the community and a few different elements of support systems that go into especially new parental units as they begin a family. And how important is it, in your experience, for individuals that are considering starting a family or actively trying to start a family to hear some of these stories and hear some of these perspectives as they begin this journey themselves?
I think it's almost as important, if not just as important, to hear both the personal standpoints and the professional standpoints. Of course, the professionals are the ones that have been doing this forever and know what your options are for the most part and things like that. But I think that's not going to help you see that there are people who come out of this on the other side and there is hope there. It's also important to hear not just the good stories, but I also think the not so good stories so that expectations can be there and you know what to expect. And your loved ones should hear these things as well, because they need to know that it's not just because you're doing IVF does not mean that you are getting pregnant. Some of these women, unfortunately, going through IVF go through many, many rounds, and it doesn't always end with a baby. So I think it's important to hear all of these perspectives and what people have gone through and how they've gotten out on the other side, and just the opportunity to know that they're not alone when they hear these things.
And it's important too to consider these different stories, to hear these perspectives, to begin those discussions, because whether it is a family that's going to consider IVF or needs to consider IVF to start the journey to beginning a family of their own, or they don't need that, these stories can be very important in helping them learn a little bit of the process, eliminate some of those negatives that they may encounter as a result of hearing stories of people who have been there and been through that and endured that and gotten to the other side. But also, it forms that community, and I'd imagine reduces some of the loneliness of this individual or these individuals that are going through this process, typically as one unit. Now they've got more of a community.
Exactly. So this is a way to show that we have this community here for them. There are always resources there every step of the way.
And that's why this is an important discussion coming up in just a couple of weeks, very shortly from now, November 20th. It'll be a Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pathways to Parenthood at Temple Israel right here in West Bloomfield on Walnut Lake Road. And so as you go through this and you are having these discussions with people, why is it significant to explore multiple family building routes, not just, of course, the traditional routes, but also adoption, surrogacy, fertility treatments, as you mentioned, because it's not always a one-size-fits-all journey for parents or a unit of parents.
Exactly. I always say it's not a linear journey. Even if you end up doing IVF and having a baby on the other side, it's never linear. Families hit walls all the time with one path and may need to explore another one. And it's important to know that there are other options. Just because IVF may not work for you doesn't mean there is nothing else out there. And especially with all the logistics that go into it, not everybody's eligible for all of these paths. And it's not something that maybe they can do or it's feasible for them. So it's important to know that there are options.
And those options are going to be available to you in person, and you'll be able to get connected with these expert resources as well for even more consultation on different places you can look for additional research and additional resources so that you can learn more about these topics yourself after these discussions. For more information on Pathways to Parenthood, if you want to attend on Thursday, November 20th, templeisrael.org/events is the place to go for more on that. And then beyond that, what type of resources can people expect to learn more about as they do attend this discussion and they do have a chance to interface with some of these experts and other potential families?
I think, first of all, it's really important if you are coming to hear these paths, try and bring your loved ones too, because this will also be an opportunity for them to hear how to best support you on your journeys and get a better understanding of what it is that you might be going through. There also will be, of course, the logistical resources. So, for example, we have Alexis Cyril joining our panel, and she is a family and reproductive attorney out of New York, who's also barred here in Detroit, in Michigan. But she is a wonderful resource because all of these paths almost involve some sort of legal aspect, and not many people know that. So that's really important to hear. We'll also have some different resources there in terms of financial aid, not just us at JFF, but a couple other organizations in the area that can help with that. Family building consultants, that's a huge one because people don't know where to start. And I think that's the most overwhelming part of a journey is just getting to step one.
No one parent or no one family can really do this alone, go through this journey entirely solo or entirely as that maybe two-person unit, and neither can one organization like yours at the Jewish Fertility Foundation of Detroit provide all these resources and all the support all on your own. So how does collaboration with other organizations in the Metro Detroit area factor into the consultation you're providing to individuals at an event like this coming up in West Bloomfield, as well as the resources that you're then pushing them to after the fact for them to get more of that individualized help and care that they may need?
So yeah, it just like family building takes a village, so does JFF for sure. And so we have a really tight connection to our community, which I think is really wonderful. One of the biggest connections I would say that we need to help us get through to helping people is our connections with our fertility clinics here in Metro Detroit. Anybody who is awarded a grant through JFF is part of one of our partner clinics, and our partner clinics also offer discounts to those grantees going through their treatments, so that hopefully that grant can go further. Because as much as we wish we could pay for entire rounds of IVF, it's not something that we're able to do all the time. So those discounts are really helpful. We also work a lot with acupuncturists and local therapists and different things and organizations and people that also assist in fertility, because it's not just the treatments itself, and it's not just the money, it's also the things that you feel you need to do for your body going into it. We also have a lot of collaborative partnerships on things like this event. For example, Temple Israel is fully sponsoring this event for us, which we're so thankful for. And with the Robert Sosnick Life Center there, it really just makes sense for us to be doing this with them to help families going through these challenges.
The website for more information, temple-israel.org/events. Top of that page will be Pathways to Parenthood. Click on that. You'll have all the information you need about attending this event Thursday, November 20th at 7 p.m. at Temple Israel on Walnut Lake Road right here in West Bloomfield Township. Joining us on the program today is Taylor Weintraub from the Jewish Family Foundation, as well as Fertility Foundation of Detroit, as well as we discuss this upcoming event. Taylor, if people are not able to attend on November 20th for this Pathway to Parenthood event, what lasting words of encouragement or advice would you have for them as they continue on this journey and maybe look for these resources outside of this one event?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, JFF is always here. Just because we are the Jewish Fertility Foundation, we do work hard to help everybody in the community, whether you are Jewish or not. So we are always a resource for you. You are never alone, and we are always here to help. So please always feel free to reach out. If you even just want to talk to somebody about something, we have resources as well. So we are always here.
More information on the event can be found on temple-israel.org/events. And to get in contact with the Jewish Fertility Foundation of Detroit, you can find them on jewishfertilityfoundation.org/Detroit. Taylor, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.